Right now on Our Indiana, the Indiana men's soccer team continues its stellar play from the regular season into the NCAA Tournament.
Indiana football faces off against Purdue in the Old Oaken Bucket game with hopes to go bowling for the third straight season.
And IU men's basketball has picked it up as of late, but do they have what it takes to take down the #1 ranked Duke in Assembly Hall on Wednesday?
All that and much more coming up on Our Indiana right now.
Hello and welcome to Our Indiana. I'm Mackenzie Salmon.
And I'm Zain Pyarali. Our first story tonight, the Indiana men's soccer team earned the #2 overall seed in the NCAA tournament and have started their quest for a 9th national championship. Indiana men's soccer started its NCAA tournament run in the second round last Sunday, hosting the Old Dominion Monarchs. We pick it up in the 36th minute of a scoreless game. Spencer Glass, the in-swinging cross, finds the head of Grant Lillard for his second goal of the season. Indiana up 1-0 at halftime. Early in the second half, Big Ten Freshman of the Year Mason Toy nets his team-leading 10th goal of the season to give Indiana a 2-0 advantage. Finally, in the 63rd minute, Austin Poncho puts the dagger in the Monarchs, scores the third goal of the game for Indiana, and the Hoosiers go on to win 3-0, advancing to the third round of the NCAA tournament. The Hoosiers were phenomenal defensively in this game, and a lot of that had to do with senior center back Grant Lillard. I've got the story for you from Jerry Yeagley Field. Indiana senior center back Grant Lillard knows what it takes to succeed in the NCAA tournament. In Saturday's 3-0 win over Old Dominion, Lillard scored his third career tournament goal, but he's more happy about the solid performance from the defense.
Always getting a shutout. The fact we've been able to get 17 of them now speaks to our team defending. It's been phenomenal all year long, and when we get a shutout, we normally win.
The 17 shutouts for Indiana is the most in a single season for the program since 1979, and Lillard has a lot to do with that.
You know, Grant brings a lot to our team, but we know that when it comes big moments, game day, he has a different edge to him. And today was no different. I mean, he was locked in.
Coach Yeagley said that seniors can get tense in games like this, especially knowing that their college careers are coming to an end. But today for Indiana, Grant Lillard was absolutely spectacular.
The end is so close, meaning, yeah, we all know how many games are left in the tournament, but again, there's no next year. And that can make it seem a little anxious. I love that our youth can help balance that out, and so Big Grant was locked.
Lillard has never advanced past the third round of the NCAA tournament in his career. Coach Yeagley said that his senior center back really wants to make a deep run this year, and he knows exactly what it will take.
Just maintain the focus that this group has right now. I'm taking it day by day, game by game. We're doing the little things well, and we just got to keep our focus on that and take every single game one by one and then focus on the big picture when it comes.
For Our Indiana, I'm Zain Pyarali.
The Indiana men's soccer team faced the New Hampshire Wildcats for the first time ever in the third round of the NCAA tournament, coming away with a 2-1 win. In the 10th minute, Reese Buckmaster feeds the ball to junior Corey Thomas, who then banks a header from 6 yards out, giving the Hoosiers the early lead. Later in the second half, Spencer Glass makes a run down the pitch, taking the goalie one-on-one, but is soon taken down inside the box and awarded a penalty kick that would be taken by Francesco Moore. Moore converts a PK and gives the Hoosiers the 2-0 lead on his third goal of the season, but in the 77th minute, New Hampshire fires back. The Wildcats' Jacob Gold would cut the deficit, but it still would not be enough. The Hoosiers now look to host #7 Michigan State in the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament on Friday. Indiana improves to 17-0-5 on the season overall, and this will be the first time since 2012 that the team has seen the quarterfinals of the tournament. For a little more on the upcoming matchup versus Michigan State, I have the report from Jerry Yeagley Field. Indiana men's soccer hasn't trailed at any point in a game this entire season, and that stayed consistent in Saturday's third-round win versus New Hampshire, with Corey Thomas getting the Hoosiers on the board with an early goal.
We always enjoy that first goal because, like we said, our defense is just amazing. And then we ended up getting a nice second goal. Spencer putting his body on the line, Frank putting it home. And once it was 2-0, I had a pretty good feeling we would lock it down.
The Hoosiers earned much-needed insurance from a Francesco Moore penalty kick goal as they ended up conceding their 5th goal of the season late in the game in the 2-1 win.
I think tonight we were pretty good. I think we can still be better, and something we'll keep working on.
After tonight's win, it'll be the first time since 2012 that the Hoosiers have made it to the quarterfinals, and Coach Yeagley and his team said they're excited to be able to play for a chance to go to the College Cup on their home turf.
Having the opportunity to play at home for a College Cup is an experience that I told these guys, as a past player and alum and as an assistant coach when I had the opportunity, and now as a head coach, I think this is one of the more unique and great experiences to have a home game.
Indiana will play a familiar opponent in Friday's quarterfinal matchup as Big Ten foe Michigan State will come to Bloomington following their 2-1 win over Western Michigan in the 3rd round. The Hoosiers and Spartans tied each other 1-1 at the end of the regular season in East Lansing.
We know going into it, it's going to be a battle. Anytime you play a Big Ten team, it's going to be a battle. So we're pretty familiar with them, as you said, and we know what they like to do. They know what we like to do, and we're just going to keep looking at film, see where we can improve and where we can attack them and where we can stop them.
They're a team that when we played them this year, I said, okay, that's a team that can make a deep run at it. I thought we had a couple in the conference, and I think being at home is great. Our guys are going to really feed off that, and but ultimately we got to perform well. It's a worthy opponent.
If Indiana can take down Michigan State, they'll head to their 19th College Cup in program history and first since 2012. For our Indiana, I'm Mackenzie Salmon.
As Indiana men's soccer is in the thick of the NCAA tournament, the Indiana women's cross-country team competed for an NCAA championship on November 18th in Louisville. Unfortunately for the women, they placed 24th out of 31 teams in the field. Junior Catherine Receiver backed up her individual Big Ten title with a 20th place finish at the NCAA championships. The Indiana men did not qualify as a team, but sophomore Ben Veach qualified individually and finished 87th overall in the men's 8K race.
The Hoosier swimming and diving teams were successful this Saturday at the Purdue Invitational, coming away with a total of 22 wins. The number 1 ranked men's team finished 2nd behind number 3 Florida, totaling 847 points. As for the number 9 women, the team won the Purdue Invite, dominating number 14 Florida and Virginia Tech with 896 points. Jessica Prado led the women's platform dive while Lily King topped the 200 breaststroke. Over the course of the 3-day meet, the Hoosiers totaled 6 NCAA A cuts on the week, as well as winning 8 of the 10 relays.
Indiana football was sitting at 4-6 on the season, heading into Thanksgiving break, needing to win both of its games to become bowl eligible for the 3rd straight season.
Indiana took on Rutgers at home on Senior Day and went on the road to Purdue to battle for the Old Oaken Bucket. Our Indiana's Joe Canner has a story for football.
Coming up short. Sadly, that's the taste Indiana football has in their mouth following this season, and especially after their loss in the season finale, another big game against their bitter rival by just 1 score. The Hoosiers' objective was clear: to make a bowl game for the 3rd year in a row, a feat never accomplished in the history of the program. With 2 weeks left in the season, they entered their contest against Rutgers 4-6 with no room for error. IU's defense didn't allow a single mistake, blowing Rutgers off the line, dominating the point of attack, and pitching their 2nd shutout of the season. The Hoosiers came out with a sense of urgency, running all over the Scarlet Knights. Morgan Ellison carried the ball just 15 times, but racked up 149 yards, as well as 2 scores on the ground. He shared time with Cole Guest, who also recorded 100 yards and an additional touchdown. They came by land and through the air, as Richard Lego had no issues moving the ball, over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He found his usual targets with ease, including Whop Fillier as the Hoosiers owned Rutgers 41-0. That left Indiana needing just 1 more victory to get to 6-6, but they'd have to get it against that school up north, hated rival Purdue. West Lafayette and Purdue Pete, the atmosphere was electric. The Hoosiers had defeated the Boilermakers in 4 straight contests, tied for their longest streak in the history of the rivalry. And boy, the student section knew it. They were fired up for this one. They desperately wanted to reclaim the Old Oaken Bucket. The atmosphere got to Indiana early, as on their first possession, Richard Lego throws a very costly interception that gave Purdue prime position to take an early 7-0 advantage and they would do just that. The Boilermakers got whatever they wanted on the ground as Markel Jones busted out big ones, finishing with 217 yards on the day. Indiana would attempt to battle back late, Richard Lego completing a couple nice deep balls to Simi Cobbs Jr. and Taysir Mack. The Hoosiers even recovered an onside kick and marched down to score, bringing the game to 31-24 with another onside kick, giving the Hoosiers a chance to tie. But Jeff Brom would make adjustments after the first special teams blunder, and the Boilermakers would recover the second onside kick and hang on to win the bucket, snapping IU's streak and denying them a third straight bowl game appearance, ending their season.
Indiana women's basketball won its first 2 contests of the season with ease, but in their third game of the season, they were tested by Western Kentucky. Luckily for the Hoosiers, they have Tyra Buss. 7 seconds to play, tie ball game. Hoosiers inbounding the ball. Buss gets it, splits the double team, drives in the lane, and finishes, gets the foul with 3 seconds remaining. Buss finishes with 22 points, and that would be the game winner as Indiana improves to 3-0 on the year with a 73-71 win.
After winning by 2 against Western Kentucky, the Hoosiers fell by 3 to Chattanooga on Monday night, 64-61. Indiana was unable to get a head start early on in the game, ultimately trailing the Mocs until the third quarter. Chattanooga opened the third with an 8-0 run on outscored the Lady Hoosiers by 7 points. Although Buss tied the team with 2 minutes left in the quarter, a 3-pointer and 1 would give the Mocs the lead. By the fourth, IU faced a deficit of 9 until Kim Royster cut it to 2. Despite a pair of double-doubles from seniors Amanda Cahill and Tyra Buss, Indiana was unable to come away with the win, moving to 3-1 on the season.
After playing their first 4 games at home, the Indiana women's basketball team flew out to California over Thanksgiving break to play in the Hilton Concord Classic. The Hoosiers were victorious in their first matchup against the UAB Blazers, 71-63. Tyra Buss led the way once again with 22 points, shooting 50% from the field. Forwards Amanda Cahill and Kim Royster also both racked up double-doubles in the win for the Hoosiers as they improved to 4-1 on the season.
On Saturday afternoon in the Hilton Concord Classic, the Lady Hoosiers suffered a 6-point loss against St. Mary's, dropping to 4-2 on the season. The Gales took their greatest lead of the game in the second quarter with a 6-0 run, later scoring at the buzzer to extend it to 8. The lead never came for Indiana despite a 3 from Jalen Penn in the final minutes of the fourth. Indiana ended the game with an improved 80% from the free throw line, as well as having 4 players score in double figures. Tyra Buss led the team with a game high of 24 points, followed by 21 from Jalen Penn. The Hoosiers returned home to host the number 4 Louisville Thursday for the Big Ten ACC Challenge at 8.
Fall sports are finishing up their seasons and winter sports are just beginning, but there's no shortage of great plays being made here at Indiana University.
For more for this, we send it over to Tommy Poore, who has the best of the best from the month of November. This is Top Plays with Tommy.
Thanks, guys. And as you said, it's been a great month for Indiana athletics. Let's take a look at November's top plays. On the hardwood, as the Hoosiers pick up a steal and play a little bit of soccer just before Justin Smith finishes off the break with a dunk. Head over to the women, Cahill with the quick pump and drive as she dumps it to Kim Royster, who draws the foul and finishes the play. In the blowout against Rutgers, Richard Lego finds Luke Timian on a dump pass as he shifts his way through defenders before being tackled into the end zone to put the Hoosiers up 27-20. Back to the court, Robert Johnson lobs it up to Justin Smith as he slams it home for the Hoosiers. Back to the women, Tyra Buss slings it through the D to find Cahill for the finish. On the break, Josh Newkirk breaks out a dirty Euro step as he puts IU up double digits against Howard. At the Oaken-Bucking game, Lego in the shotgun finds Whop Fillier, who sacrifices his body to get to the end zone in the failed comeback. Despite any of the season results, the Hoosiers continue to show moments of brilliance in their play. I'll be back at the end of the semester to show the best plays of the year. Back to you guys at the desk.
We're going to take a quick break, but before we do that, we have a trivia question for you.
Indiana men's basketball welcomes in number 1 ranked Duke to Assembly Hall Wednesday night. So our question for you is, when is the last time IU basketball beat a number 1 ranked team? Find out when we come back on Our Indiana.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to Our Indiana. Before the break, we left you with a trivia question.
When was the last time Indiana men's basketball took down a #1 ranked team? The answer is February 2nd, 2013, when #3 Indiana defeated the #1 Michigan Wolverines at Assembly Hall 81-73. Now, Mackenzie, it's going to take a lot for this Indiana basketball team to take down Duke on Wednesday.
Yeah, it sure will, but Archie's team has looked better as of late, showing signs of encouragement heading into this big-time matchup. IU men's basketball got off to a 1-2 start on the season, but this Thanksgiving break, they made sure to take care of business in Bloomington. Last Sunday, Indiana took on South Florida, and Robert Johnson had it going on in the first half. Johnson was feeling it from deep to the start of the game as a nice move into the lane gives him 12 points at halftime. In the second half, Indiana tied up with Juwan Morgan starting to take over. He finishes with his left hand to put the Hoosiers up 2. Later in the game, Deron Davis rebounds his own miss and puts it back up for the bucket as Indiana starts to increase the lead. Robert Johnson scored 21 points in this game as Indiana would beat South Florida 70-53. Juwan Morgan, without a doubt, came away as the star player Sunday after erupting in the second half. I have the story from Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Indiana trailed South Florida by 1 at halftime, allowing the Bulls to shoot 44% from the field. But then in the second half, the Hoosiers got a much-needed boost from one of their upperclassmen.
We had to finish possessions. That was a huge key for us. And I think as we did that, the offense started flowing more freely. We were getting out, and it just opened up everything.
Junior forward Juwan Morgan had just 2 points and 2 rebounds at halftime, but in the second half, he led the way, picking up 7 total offensive rebounds in the game, while the Hoosiers locked down on defense and only turned the ball over 3 times.
I think that just goes with trying to hit singles more than home runs. I just know a few times where we were just trying to hit the very first play or hit the very first pass instead of letting the play develop. And in the second half, we let the play develop more.
Despite a slow start from Juwan Morgan, he ended the game with a double-double, sparking Indiana on both ends of the court in the second half.
Juwan Morgan basically jump-started the team. In that second half, he played extremely hard. His work on the glass was great, and he gave us confidence. So told Juwan, he continues to play like that. He's got good days ahead of him. I thought we got stops in the second half. I thought Juwan brought the crowd into the game with his effort. We got some confidence when we made some shots.
Morgan was also getting to the free throw line at a rapid rate, knocking down 9 of his 10 free throws in the game and finished with 15 points. Senior Robert Johnson led Indiana in scoring tonight with 21 points, but the junior Morgan also wanted to be held accountable for his team from a leadership standpoint.
They're the most experienced, but also I'm in that leadership role as well. And since they're taking over pretty much the offense side of things, because I just like to let my offense come through, offense rebounds and things like that, I think I just take more pride in the defensive side. And if I can get us a stop and then somebody go down and hit a big 3, I'm just as happy with that as hitting 3 myself.
For Our Indiana, I'm Mackenzie Salmon.
Juwan Morgan backed up his impressive second half for South Florida with an incredible game against Arkansas State Wednesday night. First bucket of the game, fellow big man Deron Davis finds Morgan down low on the low block for the two-handed jam. Morgan was just getting started. The junior finished 9 of 11 from the field and a perfect 10 of 10 from the free throw line, racking up a career-high 28 points. He also pulled down 8 rebounds as Indiana beat Arkansas State 87-70. The Hoosiers would keep rolling against Eastern Michigan on Friday. Josh Newkirk finding Robert Johnson for a 3 to put Indiana up 6. Later on in the first half, this time it's Newkirk from downtown. Both him and Johnson had big games, going a combined 9 of 12 from beyond the arc. Second half, Hoosiers starting to pull away. Justin Smith gets the strip, takes it the other end for the flush, and Indiana would beat down Eastern Michigan 87-67 for their 3rd straight win. Josh Newkirk and Robert Johnson both had big games Friday versus the Eagles. For more on that, I have the story from Simon Scott Assembly Hall.
Indiana's senior backcourt of Robert Johnson and Josh Newkirk clicked together for the first time all season in Friday night's 87-67 win versus Eastern Michigan, with Newkirk putting up a season-high 17 points.
I credit my teammates. They've been doing a good job of finding me, and I just knocked down the shots.
Johnson led the team with 18 points Friday night, and the 2 senior guards combined to shoot 9 of 12 from beyond the arc after Indiana as a team entered the game shooting just 30% from 3 through its first 5 games.
They're going to end up, spearheading us through the rest of our season because of their experience level and the amount of games that they've played. And I think tonight those two guys were very efficient. I think you got a chance to see their ability to shoot the ball, which we haven't been doing very well right now in terms of just making shots. But those two guys stepped in, they were ready to shoot, and shot with great confidence.
More importantly, Indiana also didn't turn the ball over. They had just 8 turnovers for the second straight game tonight, and Newkirk and Johnson had just 1 turnover apiece.
We pride ourselves on taking care of the ball, limiting turnovers. It makes our offense a lot better, and it stops us from having to play a lot of defense and getting back on defense and defensive transition.
To be able to get, 8 turnovers was a big deal, because if you turn it over against them, that's when they can become a real problem in transition for you.
Indiana also got senior forward Colin Hartman back for the first time this season, and with the strong play of the senior backcourt tonight, it all provides encouragement moving forward into a tough stretch of games for the Hoosiers, starting with Duke coming to Bloomington on Wednesday. For our Indiana, I'm Zain Pyarali.
After having success against teams like South Florida, Arkansas State, and Eastern Michigan, now the schedule will start to get tougher.
Yeah, that's right. Number 1 ranked Duke comes to Bloomington Wednesday for the Big Ten ACC Challenge. And here's a few things the Hoosiers are looking for in order to be successful.
Zone defense. Early on in the season, that's what Duke has turned to with their freshman-loaded roster. But luckily for Indiana, they've already played against the zone multiple times early in this season.
We've seen a lot of zone here early, so as much as any season I've been a part of, we had our best performance against it, clearly. Against Eastern Michigan zone, we were very effective. And if we're playing them, it'll have to be the same way. You have to limit turnovers and you have to attack the paint.
Anytime you can get experience and get different looks and throughout the game, and whether it's press, fall back to 2-3 or whatever, team switching up defenses is good for guys to condition themselves to learn to echo calls and switch offenses on the fly.
Duke has talent all over the floor with Grayson Allen leading them as a senior, but more importantly for Indiana, they have to focus on the front court with Wendell Carter and Marvin Bagley down low, the freshman duo, as Bagley is leading the NCAA with 6 double-doubles already this season.
The number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country, and they're also scoring as many point paints, if not the most point paints of any team in the country. And both of them are very, very good players in and around the basket to score. They command a lot of attention. They're also just unbelievable rebounders.
The size and length that they present, and I think even more so than that, they're relentless on the glass as well. So I think we're going to have to match that with toughness.
They're good ISO guys, and they work well together in tandem. And it's just, you have to know that when somebody puts up a shot, you better get a body on them because the other person's coming.
If Indiana has one thing going for them, it's that they get to play in front of their home crowd, which always causes issues for opposing teams in big games.
I think it's definitely a plus that this type of game early in the season is being played at home. So even though, it's that type of atmosphere, we do have the plus side of it at least being a home game.
For our Indiana, I'm Zain Pyarali.
Assembly Hall will be rowdy Wednesday night for the Duke game, but does Indiana have a chance?
We dive into the matchup and preview the Blue Devils on this edition of Cream v. Crimson. Welcome to Cream v. Crimson. Joining us today are 2 WIUX basketball broadcasters, Austin Render and Ben Ladner. Austin, you've been watching this team closely all season long. You called a couple games over Thanksgiving break. What's one key for Indiana as a team in this game in order to be successful against Duke?
Easier said than done, but Indiana has to make shots. They did a great job against Eastern Michigan, kind of building some confidence for Josh Newkirk and for Robert Johnson. Those two both knocking down some threes. Saw Colin Hartman come in, Devontae Green hit some threes. So those guys have to hit some threes to stretch that 2-3 zone of Duke and try and make them respect Indiana's ability to shoot the ball.
Yeah, Ben, what's one key for you?
Yeah, well, Indiana's been inconsistent shooting the ball from 3 all season. To me, you got to keep Duke off the boards. I mean, they're one of the best rebounding teams in the entire nation. That's where Marvin Bagley and Wendell Carter Jr. really make their money. So you've really got to mitigate that advantage if you're Indiana. Juwan Morgan, Deron Davis, Freddie McSwain off the bench. They've got to do a really good job not just securing the rebounds, but boxing out, keeping Duke off the boards.
Yeah, Duke's a very good rebounding team. It'll be tough with Bagley and Carter down low.
Now, we've seen a lot of different players really step up night in and night out for the team for this young season. Who, in your opinion, is one player who you think will be key for them come Wednesday?
Well, I think everybody wants to see Colin Hartman out there, and his 6 minutes against Eastern Michigan, can they turn that into more of a full game for Colin Hartman? I know Coach Miller said they're kind of taking it day by day with him. Colin said he's feeling great. Juwan Morgan, really the front court in general, just Wendell Carter and Bagley are both such tall presences inside that Indiana really can't match. Deron Davis is tall, but he doesn't have that quickness yet. So the front court for Indiana, can they guard Bagley and Carter down low?
Yeah, and I'll highlight another one of those front court players. Freddie McSwain, I think, is a guy. He's got some quickness and some strength down low. He's only about 6'6", 6'7", so he's going to be giving up some inches to those guys. But I think he's got most of the physical tools that you need as a defender to, maybe have a chance at containing a guy like Marvin Bagley, just because of his lateral movement and his ability to get on the boards.
So finally, guys, does Indiana have any chance to win against Duke Wednesday night?
They do, in the sense of, obviously everybody has a chance. College basketball, there's so much parity, upsets happen. But because Duke played 3 games in 4 days over in Portland, now they come back, they get back probably early Monday morning, maybe Sunday night. They only have a couple days in North Carolina before they come here to Bloomington. So it's been kind of a quick transition for Duke. They could be fatigued, who knows? They could be perfectly fine. But if there is an upset scenario for Indiana, I think it's here, coming off of a busy PK 80 for Duke.
And one thing that we saw in those 3 games they played at the PK 80 is Duke is a team that can fall behind early. I mean, they were down at halftime, I think, in all 3 of those games. It took some pretty strong second-half comebacks in those games for them to eventually get the wins, which obviously they won all 3 games. But maybe Indiana jumps out to an early lead, go into the halftime locker room with the lead, and hope at some point Duke runs out of that second-half magic.
It should be a good game. I'm excited to see it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think Indiana has a chance, but it'll be really, really tough.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Austin and Ben, for joining us on this edition of Cream Bee Crimson. Now, we send it over to Alex Emoff, who shows us this week ahead in IU athletics on Fast Forward.
Thanks, Mackenzie. We weren't able to catch you up on all the Hoosier action last week, but fortunately, they will be very busy this week. To kick things off, men's basketball will host the #1 ranked Duke Blue Devils Wednesday night in their annual ACC Big Ten matchup on the Hoosier hardwood. We can only hope that Archie Miller's IU team is ready to give Hoosier fans a win like last year's against UNC. This will be a true test for the Hoosiers early in their season, so make sure you catch the action inside Simon Scott Assembly Hall or on ESPN at 9:30. Women's basketball is next up on the slate as they host University of Louisville Thursday night inside Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Catch the Hoosiers in their ACC Big Ten matchup as they look to improve on their 4-2 record with a big win against an undefeated Cardinals team. The game will tip off at 8 p.m. IU men's soccer continues to run the table in the NCAA tournament and will get another opportunity to advance at home Friday night. The #2 seed Hoosiers will take on the #7 seed Michigan State Spartans for the second time this season. Their last matchup ended in a 1-1 draw, but if the Hoosiers are able to pull off a win, they will earn a spot in the Elite 8 of the semifinals tournament in Philly. Be sure to come out and cheer on the Hoosiers at Bill Armstrong Stadium Friday night at 7. Last but not least, IU Wrestling will close off the week on Saturday by hosting SIU Edwardsville, Cleveland State, and Northern Illinois in the Hoosier Duels. Last week, the Hoosiers were able to walk with 2 wins over Eastern Michigan and Indy, with 1 team loss on the weekend. And they will hope to do at least the same this weekend as they prepare for the upcoming Big Ten season. The action will start at 10 o'clock Saturday morning at University Gym. That's all I have for you guys this week. And of course, if you miss any of the action, you can always find it on IUHoosiers.com. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Alex. Before we go, Mackenzie, what IU game are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, I'm really excited for the Duke game personally because Duke really hasn't dominated any particular team so far this season. So I think it'll be a lot closer than people think for IU.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, for me, I'm looking forward to the IU men's soccer game in the semifinals against Michigan State. If they win, they go to the College Cup. They are a perfect 14-0 at home whenever going to games that get them into the College Cup. So I'm looking forward to that. So, well, that does it for this episode of Our Indiana. I'm Zain Pyarali.
And I'm Mackenzie Salmon. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.